Yeah, well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Sure appreciate everyone's commitment to making this meeting. Welcome to the January 2026 Board of Regents meeting. In advance, Jasmine, thank you for everything that you've done to get us organized, and I'll pass it to you to conduct roll call, please.
Yes, Chair Buchanan,
Here.
Regent Bow,
Here.
Regent Dombrowski,
Here.
Regent Southworth,
Here.
Regent Folkford,
Here.
Regent Hoyer,
Here.
Regent Jasper,
Here.
Commissioner Christian,
Here.
Governor Jean Forte,
He's excused,
and Superintendent Headland.
also excused.
A quorum is present. Back to you, Chair.
Again, thank you, Jasmine, Jared, and team for all the logistical support in pulling this meeting together. Certainly a cadence that I think we're getting used to, having since we've last met, had an opportunity to go through a commencement for numerous campuses, a break, and pulling it back together to kick off another semester of the academic year. And to all of those of you joining us from our campuses, can't thank you enough for your diligence and time commitment in helping steward the mission of the Montana University system. Thank you. I think other than those, just a couple of quick comments related to the excitement around the state in the last month, with our two football teams meeting in a semifinal game. And you never want one team to always win, but it's not the case this year. We did have a winner. Congratulations to the Bobcats president, Tessman. But I say that in complete acknowledgement that getting ourselves to a semifinal game with both programs is about as exciting as it gets. And having been in Nashville, I would anticipate that it's worth all of our time to try to get back there again. Certainly fun for our state to be able to celebrate that success. And not to forget, student athletes are what we are all about, and their success is the funnest part of all of this to celebrate. So congrats to that. As we look at this agenda, the first thing we'll do is we did disperse minutes to everybody, and I trust everyone's had an opportunity to review them. Any corrections or proposed amendments related to the minutes of the last board meeting? Okay, seeing none, we'll accept those. A light agenda today, not a lot going on. Again, looking back over the last couple of months, I don't know how many of my colleagues were able to join our campuses during the commencement process, but I mean, it's such a wonderful reminder of the work that's getting done, the passion our faculty, our staff, and our students have about building a more educated populace here in the state. And I'm just thrilled as a member of this board to take the opportunity during those celebrations to acknowledge those, to celebrate, and really look around the room of all of the folks that are completing such a monumental component of their lives. So just reiterating again my thank you to everybody on our campuses that helped get those moments accomplished. On the agenda today, not a huge agenda. I want to thank those of you that helped prepare it. A couple of renovation projects at Montana Tech, housing at MSU, the MUS workers' compensation structure is our action agenda item. And then, of course, we'll always have public comment and break for an executive session. Again, approval of the minutes, we just handled that. So I will take this opportunity to pass it to Commissioner Christian. Commissioner Christian, we'd look forward to your report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Certainly an abbreviated report at the January meeting. Sometimes we even skip it, but with national champions in the house, I guess it at least deserves some shout out and recognition. Certainly my congratulations to President Tessman, Athletic Director Costello, Coach Vegan. Fantastic job there. I also want to acknowledge, though, people like Heidi Gagnon and James Tobin that went through the process to get a team, a band, a staff, and 20,000 fans helped to get to Nashville, Tennessee. That was no small feat in itself. And just for all the people on that campus that worked hard to make that happen, just spectacular effort. I thought we were incredibly well represented throughout the playoffs at both institutions, and then certainly at the national championship in Nashville. My hat really does go off to our programs, the culture that we built in Montana. The chair and I didn't compare notes, but it is fascinating to think about what 5 home games in the playoffs means for Montana, for our economic impact. For the students that we serve, just the opportunities that sort of visibility and high level of competition bring to the state, it is remarkable. Ultimately culminating in a national championship, that is fantastic. And to those student athletes that participated in this, thank you, well done, represented Montana incredibly well. I also would go back to the graduates, over 2,000 of them that we saw here at the winter commencement ceremony. I think, we've all been part of a conversation for the last 6 to 8 months about how do we get more Montanans to participate in this dream we call higher education, and how do we encourage more students to believe in that proposition. I think those students that graduated last month represent exactly that dream. There are students that did say, we're college material, we can afford to go, we're going to do well. More than most of them graduated on time. They're our success story, and I very much congratulate them, but also all of those individuals behind the scenes that participated in their success. It is a collective that gets them across the finish line, and that's what we're all about. And my thanks to all the campuses that helped make that possible. Mr. Chair, with that, we have a few introductions. I think I would turn up, I believe maybe Mike Reed has a couple to get us started with. Mike, if you're on.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian. Hopefully you can hear me. Chair Buchanan, members of the board, I did want to just briefly share that we've had 2 critical positions filled at Montana Western. The first, our interim provost and vice chancellor position has been filled by Dr. Esty Aiken. Dr. Aiken was previously serving as Montana Western's Dean of Strategic Initiatives. She received her doctorate in education from the University of Northern Colorado and also received a Master's of Arts in Teaching Elementary Education at Colorado College, which is also a block program. So Esty's been with the university for a little over a decade, and she's just phenomenal. We're excited to have her in that role. And then also want to let the board know that Mr. Mike Pizzola is our new Dean of Students, filling the position after our recent retirement of Nicole Hazelbaker. And Mr. Pizzola has been at Montana Western since 2000. He started as an RA and is also an alum of the University of Montana Western. He's kind of known as Mr. Montana Western himself, so he's going to be outstanding in this position. And anyway, we're in great hands with these 2 dynamic individuals, and just wanted to make sure that you're aware that they filled those roles. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Reed. Mr. Chair, a couple other acknowledgments on our end. I'm sure you all saw, but our own Dean Erdman has announced that she will be seeking retirement. Whether she can succeed at that or not, I guess time will tell. But that's her plan for later this spring. Wish her very well in that endeavor, and thank you. Congratulations for your efforts, your support. We will start a search for that replacement soon. We will also have more to say about Dean Erdman at our March meeting when we're all in person. And then also just a little update on the Western search. As you know, Chancellor Reed announced his retirement in November. We have that search committee formed. It's being led by Deputy Commissioner Trevor, and we also have Regent Southworth, Regent Hoyer participating in that process. Thank you for your service on there, and we will look to fill that position by hopefully late spring, certainly in time for a transition over the summer break. Mr. Chair, with that, I think for now, I can turn it back to you, and we'll move on with the business meeting.
Yeah, thank you. And Chancellor Reed, thanks for joining us. We know you're looking at your end of tenure as well, but we appreciate your commitment to carrying out leadership on campus. Great. So again, fellow board members, not a terribly robust agenda. I think everybody's had a chance to look at many of these items. As far as the consent agenda goes, any items from that agenda that anybody would like to pull off and separate as we review those for discussion? I'm not seeing any there. Got a handful of them. So seeing no interest in segregating any of those items, I would entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, items A through G.
So moved.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Regent Hoyer. Any discussion from members of the board on any one of these items? How about from the campuses? Any discussion? Jasmine, I haven't asked about any queued up public comment, but is there any public comment as it relates to these items?
There is not.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further comment, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Great, thank you. So the consent agenda is items A through G pass. I see that Dan Stevenson is with us today. Dan, it's great to see you again. And it looks like we're going to lean on you to help introduce at least the first 3 of our 4 action items. We'll pass that to you, Dan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first action item before the board today is a request for authorization to renovate main hall at Montana Technological University. This request is to expend $25.5 million for the construction of main hall renovations. This is following the Board of Regents authorization to spend $4.5 million to plan the said renovations. Montana Tech received an appropriation of $30 million in House Bill 5 at the 68th legislature. And this project will renovate Main Hall, which has not experienced a major renovation in 120 years. This project is in conjunction with the next action item, but before I proceed to that, I will pause for any questions.
I don't see any questions. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next action item is a request for authorization to renovate Engineering Hall, also at Montana Tech. This request is to expend $6.8 million for the renovations of Engineering Hall. This is in follow-up to $1.2 million of authorization that the Board of Regents provided Montana Tech in March of 24 for planning and design of same renovations. Montana Tech received an appropriation of $8 million in House Bill 5 of the 68th legislative session also for this project. Engineering Hall also has not received a major renovation for approximately a century, so it's probably time that we do that. Just a quick comment between these two projects. The design team in Montana Tech have done an amazing job of pulling these two buildings together in a way that will allow them to operate as a unified facility by installing an elevator that will serve both buildings and a connector to allow students and staff and faculty to traverse between the buildings much more accessibly. With that, I will pause for questions on this item.
I'll see you, Dan. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Mr. Chair, Deputy Commissioner Trevor here. I'll take the next item. Members of the board, item C is a request for authorization to plan and design housing improvements at MSU. I believe you'll remember the extensive information item we provided at the November meeting describing this project. Again, this is the planning and design for $7 million related to renovation, deferred maintenance, and new construction. Before we kind of detail what each one of those entail, I'd first say that this item comes to you from MSU with extensive planning and studying behind it. We authorized a full-scale housing study at MSU a couple of years ago, and really the culmination of it is this item, and it's a critical piece in order to, I guess, catalyze their auxiliary strategies and plans. by developing a swing space dorm to begin with, to allow the shifting of students out of areas that need renovation and deferred maintenance, to house them in an area without having to force them out of their current on-campus housing, and opens up the ability to address much needed improvements. And so we definitely laud MSU for the extensive planning that they have done on this item. This means, though, that MSU will come back to the board after the planning process to request construction and financing authority for the full-scale development of a 250 to 300 bed dorm for $50 million in conjunction with deferred maintenance that's estimated to be $20 million. So we'll be looking at a $70 million financing and construction item that would come to the board following the planning and design, which I assume will commence immediately. And so we can look for this item likely by summertime or around then, and I can be corrected by Dan or Terry on the timeline there. Mr. Chair, one other item, the funding for the $7 million comes from auxiliary revenue reserves. And I guess that concludes the description of this project.
Thanks, Tyler. Dan, did you have any further comments on action item C there?
No, Mr. Chair, I feel the Deputy Commissioner did a great job.
I thought I'd just confirm. That's great. All right, moving down the agenda. I didn't take note who's going to grab the next item.
Yep, that's you.
Yep, that is me, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Please, thank you, Commissioner.
So item D addresses what has been our self-funded workers' comp self-funded workers' comp plan. Over 20 plus years ago, this group sought both legislative and board approval to enter into an era of a self-funded workers' comp plan. In other words, meaning we carried the risk, we collected the premiums to insure our workforce for work comp issues. And honestly, a work comp committee was established. Fantastic work has been done there over the years. We've saved the system money. We've built a culture around safety and healthy work environments. And we've built a culture around return to work policies that are second to none. That said, we didn't administer the claims directly. We used a third-party administrator that did the nuts and bolts, the day-to-day of processing claims and that. That contract with the third-party administrators runs out in June of 26. So we were looking at what is the next iteration. We hired a consultant to help us work through that process, to think through where we are and where we're headed. One of the recommendations that came back from the consultants was that we consider a fully insured product. So in other words, leave the self-funded plan behind and look for someone to provide that coverage. We did that, and I will tell you, we received what we consider a very fair proposal from Montana State Fund. And in part, I think the proposal is as fair as it is because of the good work that we've done and the culture that we've built and some of the return to work pieces that we've done. I think in the long run, though, their proposal at this point in time is less cost to us, eliminates risk for us, and helps us to access additional services that we haven't had in terms of work smart and work safety type issues. So it's our recommendation that we do move forward with that transition. That said, I believe we will keep the workers' comp committee in place. They've helped create a structure. They would be in place to look at future iterations as we renew this policy year by year. And if it's in our best interest, they will continue to work on return to work pieces of this and ultimately to continue to build that culture on campuses. So the good parts of what we have done, I think, stay in place. the cost, the risk, we would move to state fund. I think all in all, this is an incredibly good opportunity and good proposal for all of our workers across the state of Montana. And we will have a governance structure in place that will review this. If down the road, 5 years or another 22 years, we decide we should go back into a self-funded plan or different providers, those are all options that remain on the table moving forward. But at this point in time, it's our recommendation that we move forward. And this item gives me authority to work with state fund to transition this policy to them.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions from members of the board related to this action item? Commissioner, I'd ask just a couple things. I appreciate how you identified the culture we've built that's really helped us keep a handle on both claims and in lieu of that premiums to the employees of our system. Are we seeing any trends? Or are we seeing anything in there that gives us pause about where the world? I mean, I know that every entity that I'm a part of, whether it's hospitals or schools, we're seeing such big jumps in healthcare premiums. What's the situation for our employees, and what are some of the trends that we should keep an eye on as we move forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are not seeing trends that concern us with the incidence of accidents, so we're not seeing increased concerns on campus. That certainly, and something we will talk about over the next year, the costs of healthcare are rising across the country at somewhat alarming rates. So providing for those that are injured or affected is sort of an ongoing concern. But I don't think it's driven by trend. I really think this decision has been driven by the opportunity to look at what our TPA provider has been and how we provide services across the campus. I can't take one hat off completely from the other. We also do have a self-insured health plan, and those concerns that you've raised will continue to be bright and shining concerns on that front, and we'll monitor that as we move forward too. But I think this is the right move, and I think it comes from really what has been an outstanding track record in managing claims, in managing safety, in how we have done this moving forward. And, a credit to the lately retired Leah Teets, who ran this program for almost 20 years, and to Margaret that has taken over since then. It is a great track record, but I think we will have a similar track record with state fund and take the risk portfolio off our table.
Good answer. Thank you. Any other comments before we start taking action on these items? I'm not seeing any. Well, as is the cadence of this meeting, these are the 4 action items that we'll entertain today. So moving back up to the top of the list, I will entertain a motion to approve action item A on the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you much. Any discussion from members of the board on this item? From the campuses, any input or comments? Any public comment as it relates to action item A? Okay, thank you, Jasmine. Seeing no further comment, I'll call for the vote. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Action item A passes. Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to approve action item B on the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you both. Any discussion from members of the board?
This is Regent Hoyer. I just wanted to thank everybody involved in this. I think it's a great way to connect two standing, if I'm understanding right, 2 standing buildings. Not only makes it more useful for students, but in the scope of campus safety, it also makes it more safe. And so I think it's wise and a good use of their money.
Thanks, Regent Hoyer. Appreciate that. Any other comments from board members? How about campuses? Jasmine, any public comment on action item B?
There is not.
Thank you. So seeing no further comment, we'll call for the vote. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Action item B passes. Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion for action item C on the agenda.
So moved.
Thanks, Jeff. Regent Southworth. Any discussion for members of the board? Campuses, any comments or input? Thank you. Jasmine, any public comment on action item C?
There's not.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Action item C passes. And for the final action item of the day, we'll entertain a motion to approve action item D.
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion from board members? Seeing none, any comments or from campuses? How about public comment on action item D, Jasmine?
Nope.
All right, seeing no further comment, we'll call for the vote. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, all 4 action items passed today. Thank you, and thanks to OG staff for keeping your eye on the ball over the interim and break and bringing this to us in such good order. I believe, Commissioner Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, we have no other items for discussion at the board level other than public comment. So since this is go ahead, Clay.
Let's do public comment, and then I have one follow-up, but go ahead.
Great. Since this is a public meeting, we'll now call for any public comment. Public comment may be offered on items on the meeting's agenda or any matter that's not on the agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the Board of Regents. Written public comment may also be sent to Jasmine Casanovas at jcasanovas@montana.edu. To allow us to give everyone a chance to comment, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. I don't see anybody in the OG offices for public comment, so I guess, Jasmine, do we have anybody online prepared to give public comment today?
We do not.
Pretty expedient agenda item. I know we will be breaking into executive session, but Commissioner Christian, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just 2 quick items. One, I don't think we can leave this meeting without one more kind of go Cats. Fantastic performance. One of the most exciting games I've ever had any part of. Super fun to watch. Spectacular form. They deserve, and those student athletes deserve a go Cats from this group. The second item of similar importance is a farewell to Regent Dombrowski. Truly your last meeting. I know we went around the table in November, but thank you for all that you've done, your counsel, your guidance along the way. Spectacular board member, participated throughout, and really have made your mark and lend your talents to the Board of Regents over the last 7 years. So thank you for your service.
Absolutely. I said the pleasure has been all mine to serve, and I was appropriately acknowledged in November in Missoula. And thanks to all of you. It's been terrific.
Thank you, Commissioner Christian. Totally appropriate. We'll be looking forward to updates on your next chapter, Joyce.
Yes.
It's sure been a pleasure. Yep. Okay. Any other comments for the good of the order there from anybody online? I'm not seeing any. Again, thank you to everyone that joined us today. Our next items will be taken up during the executive session. As we move into the executive session, and as the presiding officer, I have determined that this discussion relates to a matter of individual privacy and that the demands of individual privacy clearly exceed the merits of public disclosure. The board will adjourn upon completion of executive session. Again, thank you to everyone on this call for your participation and interest. Board members, you were given a second link, so log off now and we'll rejoin each other on the executive session link. Thanks to OG for all you've done to prepare the meeting.
Thanks all.